Good morning, everyone. We're going to call the meeting to order at 11:30 for the Board of Water and Wastewater Commissioners at the Harwich Water Department, 196 Chatham Road, Harwich, Mass. Wednesday, July 27th, 2022. Executive session will go in at 11:30. The executive session is pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A 21-A3 to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigation position of the public body and the chair so declares. International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, for the purpose of making recommendations to the Board of Selectmen with respect to collective bargaining negotiations. A motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Noreen?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Aye. We will be right back. I apologize. Back, and the board took no position for the contract negotiations. All right, let's move on to the consent agenda. The minutes for May 11th and 26th. I'm assuming the 26 minutes are going to be at the next meeting. We have the May 11th minutes.
That right?
Oh, they're in this one?
That was shot. There's a separate little thing. Here you go.
We got both 11 and 26. Mr. Chairman, I move we adopt the minutes May 11th and May 26th as presented.
Second that?
Yes, all right, a second. I'm going to abstain because I hadn't read the minutes yet. Is it positive motion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so that's 4, Tracy. All right. Let's see. Let's move to the people who are here for the abatements, and we can do the department ones afterwards.
Yeah.
732 Main Street, Brooks Academy.
Town Hall.
Town Hall. Well, we have Brooks Academy, Thompson's Field, and Community Gardens.
Let's skip that right now, and let's just do 25.
25 Bayview.
Bayview,
Okay.
right.
So 25 Bayview, it says there was it a sprinkler leak? Or was it a pipe broke? So I'm assuming you're 25 Bayview. Okay, thank you for being here. All right, Dan?
Tracy, did you have information on this one?
I don't have any other information than what's in the packet.
Okay. I did talk with Wellesley briefly. She had indicated that the property historically has been seasonal, and I believe this year it was kept on because work was being done at the house.
Okay.
And ultimately, a freeze occurred and pipe burst. If I'm saying that incorrectly, please.
No, that's all right.
So we're looking at $2,326.50. Was that the abatement request?
2,200, so leave 126 remaining.
And can I just ask a question?
Yep.
Yeah. So it was inside the house, the breakage, or?
Under the house. Somebody walked by and saw water running and called you all and you turned it off immediately. And then so we called the plumber and they said everything was broken, they had to pull everything out. And there's still another part upstairs that I haven't done yet because they have to tear out a whole ceiling to get to the bathroom pipes up there, so there's going to be another big expense.
But did your plumber, I guess, so it's under construction, right, or rehab?
It was.
And, so the water was on, but there was no heat?
Did this freeze up?
It froze.
It froze.
No, we don't have heat, and normally every single year, for 19 years, or 18 years, we
Shut it off, right.
and all that. And this time it just, because everybody was working there, it just didn't get done. I live in Atlanta.
So there was no heat, and it's a seasonal, and there was no heat underneath the building?
That's correct.
But the contractor that was doing the repairs, did he know the water was on?
Yes.
Not, my understanding is it should be the contractors. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know.
I just, if there's no heat underneath there, it's a seasonal and there's no heat, it's probably the town's fault, so, you know.
All right,
I'm just curious, it's not directly related, but you also had a high bill in June, 400, and you normally don't, no?
That was the meter for the replacement charge.
Oh, that was the meter, I'm sorry. Okay, was that the character?
well, it's normally a seasonal shut-off. The water was left on,
For the
for the,
contractor.
the contractors to work there, and it froze during that time frame. Yeah, it's a horrible circumstances to be in. I mean, honestly, for an abatement like that, when a pipe bursts, someone has to pay for that water. It has to go somewhere. If it's I mean, I see you have a cost here for $4,000 for repairs. If you wanted to do a payment plan, we can also do a payment plan, so to bring the payments up, to make it a little bit more feasible for you. But, I mean, something that has to be paid for by someone. I mean, it's unfortunate, but
Okay.
if that would work for you, we can have you set with Wellesley to set up some kind of payment plan over a couple of months or something to that effect.
Okay.
And talk with your general contractor, because,
I didn't tell him
To leave you without any heat underneath it, without telling you there was no heat, they should have told you.
they should have known, and,
Especially being a seasonal.
So down Pavement Road, those houses are older houses.
Yeah, it's over 200 years old.
Yeah, you have to be very genuine.
It's been a lot of expense this year.
Yeah.
Big to rack down.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, and you're both on? Yes.
So I need a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we set 25 Bayview Road up with a payment plan for the arrears.
and I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And talk to your
Just one
contractor,
question, so we don't need to vote
Because,
for the 90,
and I know the state of Massachusetts has a fund
Well,
when contractors
Okay, I
don't
guess not,
do
we
what
took
they're supposed
action.
to do.
That's all right.
Comes
yeah,
out of their
we did take action,
bonds.
so-
Yeah.
HIC.
Their
Fine.
insurance, what's it called?
The HIC, Home Improvement Contractor
Yeah.
Fund.
So there is
Yeah,
protection
because
out
we would
there.
have voted on a pay plan. anyway,
Yeah.
so
Thank you.
That was the action. we took.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, let's go back to Brooks Academy, Thompson's Field, and Community Gardens. So there were leaks at each property?
It would appear so. I was aware of the one over, is it Brooks?
And Mr. Hooper didn't want to join us for this?
It was actually Assistant Town Administrator who reached out. When I spoke to her, she was looking for information on 80 Parallel Street, Brooks Academy. We did a data log on the meter, on one of the meters. DPW is aware of the leak, but Megan had reached out because Brooks Academy frankly doesn't have the money to pay for the bill. So I redirected her to the abatement process, and I guess there was a couple others that came in as well.
I'm sorry. Back up a second. Brooks Academy doesn't have the money to pay for their water bill?
Well, she had indicated that this bill, the last one that they paid, they would have liked to have abated from last October for the $3,099. That
They
one-
have a leak?
They did,
The leak was part of the $3,099?
yeah.
I have Harwich Brooks Academy, that's the museum. Hold on a second, we have three here, hold on. That's the Thompson's Field.
Wow, that lease cost like $5,000.
And I don't,
The 61774 is on the front page. The abatement.
you see it?
Yeah. So this is
This
Brooks.
one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're on Conservation Department. Come to,
All right, here we go.
Yeah.
All right.
yeah, there you are.
So where was the $3,000?
All right, right here, so here's their history. See the 3,000, that was part of the leak, plus they paid 700, that was part of the leak too, and now they got 600, so that's been
All
leaking
right.
forever. Where was the leak actually, I wonder? Inside the
The
place?
irrigation? Yeah.
Irrigation?
They should call their contractor.
They did.
Is it the town?
Yeah,
This is an irrigation leak?
for the town.
I'm
Yeah.
not reading that off.
No.
Does the, all right, so not to be funny, but does that department have funds to pay for their earth?
Well,
Well,
who maintains the property?
DPW.
DPW?
Mr. Hooper.
I assume
Well, his name's on this.
Well,
John
he's
Libby.
still head,
Sean
right?
Libby, yeah, well,
or Paul, the former.
so, excuse me,
Yeah.
we're saying this is an irrigation leak, but it looks like it started, back in August or September of last year. So didn't anybody turn the irrigation off? Am I wrong on the timing? I am.
Oh.
What's the timing?
If I may.
Yeah,
One of our technicians went to the property, I believe it was June of last year.
June, okay,
June, July.
yeah. Okay. And so, and they were having a problem then?
They had, yeah, there was at that point, they had a drip irrigation line had come apart.
Right,
So I had turned off
Oh,
the
drip line.
irrigation
yeah,
that night
Mhm.
and made highway aware,
Yeah.
or DPW aware of the situation, assuming that they probably fixed it the next day.
okay.
The only reason I remember that is because we turned the water tank on that day.
So who,
It's a big day.
who is supposed to turn off the irrigation in November or October or whenever they choose? Shouldn't they be turning off their irrigation in November?
yeah, the DPW does it.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like they did it.
I think something else might be leaking out there, either the last note on that account. It has to do with a leak at the backflow to a couple of spigots.
Oh, you're right, okay.
There we go.
So the spigot water's pouring out the spigots all winter.
I think it's pretty embarrassing that we have a water leak like this on a town
Yeah, I
property.
mean, that's
for this amount of time.
$5,000.
This is pretty, I mean, come on.
$5,000 for Brooks Academy?
Yeah.
Is this fed off the Brooks Academy meter, or is there a pit?
It's a pit. There is
It's
a
a
pit
pit?
down there.
So I'm assuming, we're doing all three of these separately?
Separately, yes.
All right.
So we don't seasonally turn the pits off? I mean, we don't pull the meters, or,
Not a Brooks Academy.
No, I don't think so.
All right, I've never done it.
So is it that it only got noticed after a whole year, or,
Looks like it.
I mean, they wouldn't have been part of the billing, the newer billing cycle, in other words?
Oh, they were.
Yeah, they got a bill for $3,000 in October and they paid it. And then they got another bill for $800 in January and they paid that. And now they've got this bill for $600 and now they're looking for assistance.
Oh, then I would
Plus the
like
bill for $3,000.
to make a motion to deny.
Is there a second?
Second.
You get all kinds of
Any further
stuff.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that's that one.
All right, where are you going next?
Oh, I picked up Conservation Department.
Okay.
So this is a Chatham spigot at Chatham Road parking lot, Thompson's Field. Spigot leaked throughout the winter. Why is this on in the winter
I
time?
know it.
And has continued to leak despite Despite efforts of the DPW, the DPW has attempted to get the pot fixed, to fix the issue, but there have been delays in actually getting the pot. Is there a motion?
I'd make a motion to deny.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
I do have one question though. I certainly can understand people have trouble getting pots, but if it's leaking and you're waiting for a pot, why don't you just shut it off?
Right. I mean, it should've
Call
been-
your water department and
Why is
ask
it
them
on
to
November?
shut it off.
Right.
You know, I
Yeah.
don't get it.
Meter should have been taken out. Should be in the seasonal. Because they're in pits, if they're up at,
Yeah.
Harwich Common Gardens. The gardens at 50 Citizen Road. Spigots have leaked since being turned on. Gardeners do not start using the water until May. DPW has attempted to get the pump.
I'd make a motion to deny.
Second.
Do you have anything you wanted to add to this?
No.
You are here.
No, I'm just,
Your friend Sherry.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm just learning.
okay. There's a motion to deny. There are 2 seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Can I ask a question
You can make a comment, sure.
or a comment? Within the DPW, do they have, as knowledgeable plumbers, as plumbing, as the water department, or is that something that we
No, they have
give them
licensed.
intellectual resource?
I don't know what their protocols are that are
Yeah.
resulting in, this. I know Paul's a great plumber, I know he's done plenty of stuff for us, so I don't,
Oh, so they do have a plumber and
Yeah.
stuff, okay.
It's just a waste of water. I mean, that's a lot of water that's just being wasted. I mean, through November.
I mean, if
Well,
the
sadly-
meter should have been full seasonal.
But sadly, we're gonna
Then you
pay
know
for
it's
it
up.
anyway.
Right.
I mean, whether we pay for it through the water department, whether we pay for it through our tax bills, we're paying for it, so I mean, exercising futility.
Don't we have the lady too, or is that another different one?
We have what, lady? This lady right here?
The handwritten note?
that's
It'll
later.
come out.
That's later,
Yeah,
okay.
right now we're doing, FY22 fourth quarter water department usage. We need an abatement for $2,347.88.
So moved.
Second.
Is there a second? Second, Mr. Thompson, all in favor?
Aye. And that's not based off a leak, just for clarity,
Right.
correct?
No,
Huh?
No, that's,
And then we have FY22 fourth quarter internal adjustments for $3,892.79.
Question.
Judith. Noreen.
Remind me, I know these are internal adjustments, which accounts these are?
Sandra?
Your customer accounts.
They are
Your
customer.
customer accounts.
Okay, so they're just a little,
It could be meter reading estimates.
Yeah.
That when the actual comes in,
Yeah.
an adjustment
Yeah.
has to be made. It could be a seasonal service that no longer wants to be seasonal, that we have to remove the charge. And then the one-time late fees that we're authorized
those I see.
to give.
so like when I see the big one, like, 2,000, is that an unusual situation, or?
That's Leslie.
So on that particular one, that's actually for service install. The work order was sent to me, I filled it out,
Yep,
and for whatever reason, the work order was sent to me again, like a
Uh-huh.
few weeks later, so I filled it out, not knowing it was the same
Okay.
one. And that's the first and hopefully last time that will ever
okay.
occur, that was a one-off.
So these are regular accounts, thank you.
Note that, would you, Dan?
I am noting it, but I won't remember to look at it again.
So we have a motion for $3,892.39. We have a motion. There's a second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Superintendent's evaluation. You should have had a copy of the final draft of Dan's evaluation with everyone's scores calculated into the evaluation. At the end of the day, it tallied, I believe, 91%. So after reading and reviewing the evaluation, are there any amendments or changes you want to make to the evaluation? All right, so if not, Noreen?
Does Dan feel it's a fair evaluation all around? I'm just curious. Oh, good. You're too easy. And I did tell you that I'm going to hopefully redesign this form this year.
I thought we
That's right.
you signed up for that. Well, you signed me up for it, so.
I did, yeah.
All right, so the evaluation stands as is. I think we should take a motion to approve Dan's evaluation.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So you can officially send this up to the selectmen?
Yeah, one thing that I just wanted to get a little clarification on today. You know, the board did discuss salary stuff last meeting. There was an earlier discussion, and then there was a reconsideration, so I just wanted to make sure that, you know, grade, step, and everything, everyone was on the same page.
It should be a classification M8, no,
M9,
M9.
Step 8.
Okay.
yeah. And the reconsideration, remember, was mine, and it was only about timing. You know, I just didn't know if we should look at the department as a whole, as opposed to just...
M9, step 8.
But it had nothing to do with the substance of a raise for you.
What page is that?
It's just on the next page there, after that, just keep going. And we have an evaluation that we can sign to send up? Does it matter which one we have?
Should,
Do we have one for signatures, Tracy?
Oh, so grade
So
grade M9.
he's the M9, grade 8, is where he's going to.
Step 8.
He was an M8, 10, is where he was.
And then we're moving him to grade M9.
Yep.
which is step.
So we can sign the one we have?
No, Tracy will pass around.
Oh, you have one,
for
okay.
signatures.
This form?
yeah, she's gonna pass one.
Excuse me.
All right, drought declaration, water restrictions.
All right, if we can
Can I
take
ask a
one.
quick question
Yep.
about do any of us need to go to that meeting? Or is the evaluation enough?
I mean, if everybody wants to go make a comment, I'm sure they can. I mean, I don't know, I don't think we need to. But
Okay, that's good.
yeah, we feel better having
Bob,
someone there to
is
speak. It's-
this, you talking about the Board of Selectmen
Yes.
meeting? or-
Yeah.
Yeah.
So should I draft a memo?
Yes.
All right, so we are in a level
Oh,
1
sorry.
mile drought.
That was to sign.
You want to do that?
Pass them,
Take one and pass them, sorry.
sorry.
Some last minute
We're trying to
additions
sign 'em.
to the packet.
Okay.
So I can just kind of go through the memo if that's all right, and then, so due to the ongoing drought conditions, Massachusetts Drought Task Force met off-cycle last week on July 21st to discuss the worsening conditions across the Commonwealth. In light of the elevated temperatures and forecasts predicting little to no precipitation, the Energy and Environmental Affairs Secretary Beth Card declared a level 1 mild drought for the Cape Cod region. In addition to worsening drought conditions, the department's also received a number of customer complaints of low pressure resulting from the large irrigation demand in the AM hours on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. In consideration of the drought declaration, limited precipitation, and low pressure concerns, I recommend the Board of Water Wastewater Commissioners consider amending the current water restrictions to further limit unnecessary outdoor water use. In support of this recommendation, I've included recommendations provided by the Mass Drought Task Force, as well as a middle-of-the-road option that falls between our current restrictions and recommendations of the Drought Management Plan. So the Level 1 recommendation from the Massachusetts Drought Task Force recommends implementing a one-day-a-week watering restriction. So in addition to that, they also note that toilets, faucets, showers are more than 60% of indoor use. They recommend limiting outdoor watering, like I said, to 1 day a week from 5 p.m. to 9 a.m. or less frequently if desired or required by the water supplier. Limit or prohibit installation of new sod, seeding, and/or landscaping, watering during or within 48 hours after measurable rainfall, washing of hard surfaces, sidewalks, patios, driveways, personal vehicles, boat washing, filling of swimming pools. establish water use restriction targets for users and identify top water users and conduct targeted outreach strategies to curb use. And then it gets into some medium and long-term items. And then the kind of middle-of-the-road option that I thought would, kind of be in between those two would be to do a hybrid 2-day-a-week, odd-even schedule where odd house numbers could water Monday or Thursday between the hours of 12 and 8 and 5 and 9, and even house numbers watering on Tuesday and Friday in the same hours. But we can do either of those or any other version of the board.
Noreen?
So, if this is interesting, because we had talked about this in the spring, and we wondered if having the days be, planned,
Mhm.
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday was going to impact anything. And we didn't think it was going to at the
Right.
time, but it sounds like it did.
Yeah.
And you guys actually have gotten phone calls about low water pressure because
Yeah.
we're all using it at that same time.
Yeah.
Well, that was a good idea, but I guess it didn't work.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that, if you look at the pumpage, which I think is the last
Yeah.
couple pages in the packet, last month we were down almost 20 million gallons from where we were last year.
Right.
And if you look at the daily, pumping volumes, we're not too far off from where we've been historically as far as like daily totals, but I think it's just where there's so much open to atmosphere, that 5 a.m. window during irrigation.
Yeah.
It's, even though we're not moving too much more water, it's still having that negative effect.
I noticed it this morning.
Yeah. 5 o'clock in the morning, the tank, sir, which they do every
Right.
summer, but
But these pumping reports through June, I think July may be worse. It just seems like we haven't had a drop of water in
yeah.
Yeah, it's been
July.
I think we should maybe even consider banning irrigation and just do hand watering of plants or whatever, very minimal. We're at a level 1, and we're not that far off from a level 2 off Cape.
And I
Noreen?
So there was a lot of concern in the spring about changing the days and it affecting people who don't control their own irrigation controls and them having to get their irrigation supplier out to change their dates and their controllers. So whichever suggestion, the middle of the road or the other, looks like it's serious enough that you're recommending that we go through that process and make them change their.
Yeah, and further, I would suggest at this point, with this change, we establish, a couple-week grace period, but beyond that,
Right.
start implementing fines for violations.
Back to even odd and implement fines, yeah. I know people call and report, you're told that. Have you guys taken any action on any of the phone calls you've
Oh, yeah.
gotten?
Wellesley sent how many letters?
We have sent quite a number of letters, and we're now starting to send second notices because the first ones haven't been heeded.
Okay.
I think I personally called in 5 or 6.
Really? Yeah.
Well, if I'm out driving around,
So they get a letter saying you have gone against the regulations,
Yeah.
and if you don't stop, you will be fined. But, so now we should go to the next and actually start finding.
And I was just pulled the regs before the meeting started. The first fine is $100, or first offense is written warning, second is 100, every subsequent is 300.
Have we ever just said no watering other than hand watering? Is that ever?
Yeah, we have in the past. That's what I said to Dan yesterday, just stop watering long. Where we are now is we're on the threshold.
Yeah.
From here on in, it's downhill. And think about it, when's the last good rain? The ideal thing for us is snowstorms. When they melt back in, it builds the water dam. But we're not having that, and we're not having rain,
Tier 2.
so
Tier
Right.
2 of no.
Snowfall.
Yeah.
Significant snowfall.
What of the closest towns done recently? I read a little in the newspaper, but I can't remember them right now.
I heard one, did you know, someone switched, I thought, to one day. I know Orleans, I don't know that anyone's changed yet.
Right.
I think Orleans was at 2 days a week. Chatham, I know at the beginning of the year, they were talking no altogether.
I heard one talking about no altogether, but I don't remember if it was talk or if they did it. I want to say it was Orleans, but I'm not sure.
I mean, the longer we put it off,
All right.
the longer it takes for recovery.
Right.
So we're just digging a deeper hole.
Well, then, yeah,
We need to do something.
the next 2 weeks just look completely dry. I mean, we're gonna be,
Can we,
Yeah, August is not gonna be any different. I mean, we're in that
yeah.
part. Yeah, when it's dry, it's dry.
Well, that's a thought. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I was looking up, looking online, trying to get a feel of rainfall data over the last 5 years,
Okay.
and we're down every year,
Yeah.
every year. Well, I mean, we haven't had, I can't remember any major rainstorm, you know.
No.
If it was quick,
yeah, it's those
blink of the
bursts.
eye.
Yeah.
you know.
When you've seen other towns do this, do they reconsider it in September or October, or is it usually pretty much from now till next spring?
Most towns are, and I'm just,
Yeah.
off Cape, it's a completely different world. I mean, Pembroke doesn't allow any irrigation with town water.
Yeah.
A lot of the aquifer isn't as plentiful, so a lot of towns up there, they're in tier 1 all year long.
Yeah.
And they
Wow.
pretty much prohibit any outdoor use. I've been getting text messages and emails from my town that there's no water for fire protection.
Yeah.
They cease all use immediately.
Wow.
I've been getting, last weekend.
We
Yeah.
don't want to get to that point.
No, I have no problem suspending irrigation use and just very limited outdoor hand watering
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
Because like you said, this is where we're at. It's not gonna get better.
Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing crazy extreme heat temperatures. We have no idea what the snowfall is gonna be this year. We were very hopeful 2 years ago, and it hasn't gotten better.
No.
So,
And a lightning strike, a forest fire.
Right,
right.
I mean,
right, got it.
we're doing everything, and so I'm game to shut it down. First of August,
Any other discussion or thoughts? I'll make a motion that we suspend water irrigation and limit outdoor hand watering as far as cars and flower beds and things like that.
So hand watering acceptable during the current hours that we have, no automated irrigation system?
No automated irrigation system. I would say even outside watering should be like between 5 and 9 or something like that, during night hours or early morning hours, if someone's up at between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. or something like that, and 5 and 9, but I would highly recommend you not watering outside there at noon or 1 o'clock.
I'll
Leslie?
second that.
Is that effective immediately? or-
2 weeks, August 1st, right?
2 weeks later.
Well, I would say,
August 1st.
I think,
Have a chance to
yeah,
adjust.
the first is
It's next week.
That's next week.
next week, and I would say if the board is thinking about implementing fines, that we set a date, a grace period date for a response as well.
Do people have to, can people shut these things off themselves, or do they have to get their plumbers?
No, they can shut them up
Yeah.
themselves.
August
It's just
8th?
one button.
But if they're not here, or for whatever reason don't know how to turn off their irrigation system, at least to give them an opportunity to call someone and have them.
Yeah.
So effective August 1st with a grace period of August 8th if they're out of town?
August 1st is only like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days.
Is that enough time?
Yeah. It
August
takes a
8th?
flick of the wrist to turn it off,
Yeah.
So, but it goes into effect August 8th.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Or fines go into effect.
Fines go,
Fines
yeah,
go into
fines go
effect
into
August 8th.
8th.
Yeah,
The water restrictions go into effect August 1st.
yeah, and that gets plenty of
Voice
notification.
broadcast.
Exactly.
Sure,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
And the signs, the street signs, electric street signs.
you get
All
it
right.
in the newspaper?
So that's the motion.
Yeah.
Second,
Yeah, discussion.
Second.
Second?
discussion.
So how do you feel about this? Is this what you support?
I'm okay, yeah, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
happy to implement you know,
I think you'll see all the other departments go.
Yeah, no, I think,
Yeah.
fine. And it's just gonna be absolutely no irrigation and hand watering during the hours we've talked about before.
For 8 AM and 5 and 9 PM.
Yeah.
you want 4 to 8 and 5 to 9? Would the board be okay with keeping the hours as we've had them? I think we have midnight to 8 AM
Yeah.
and 5 to 9 PM, just so that at least there's a little continuity between them.
Oh, the overnight? Yeah.
Sure, if someone wants to go out there and water.
If I wanna go out and water, yeah, you won't
Just so
I will be driving on your neighborhood at midnight.
No, we're talking about, yeah, hand watering at midnight? You
Yeah.
won't have to call
Hey,
me
come in
in
for a
then if you see me.
We might as well have a little taste.
So the hours of
Just
water.
figured the hours we could keep
The
the
main
same.
thing is irrigation is suspended until further notice.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. That's the motion. That's the second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Who would have thought we would have been here?
I know it. Wow.
At least we're not on Lake Mead.
So,
Did you see
so
that?
the steps we're gonna take are gonna be the robocalls or?
Voice broadcast, signboards.
Mhm.
Cape Cod Chronicle, Cape Cod
Yeah.
Times.
Are you gonna be at the August 8th
Can't wait.
Board of Selectmen meeting? So
August meeting to
you'll
announce it.
jump, you'll jump up during public comment and
Yes,
do
I
that?
remember to do that, but yes.
Okay, all
I will
right,
be there on the 8th.
because that's the next meeting, and
Channel 18, yeah.
maybe we could get Channel 18.
All right.
And radio too, right?
And radio.
We have a list of all
Yeah.
the announcements,
Yeah.
radio, media,
Okay.
newspapers, website.
Instagram?
broadcast, Instagram, Facebook.
Facebook.
Wow. Well, it'll save us all a lot of money. I have to look at that department. I only got
Should be
irrigation last
DPW.
year.
We'll have to reevaluate.
Everything I do is bad.
Well, you mentioned that, it should just be, at least acknowledged in this conversation that, there's potential impacts to revenue by curbing, fully curbing irrigation.
That's right.
This is our breadwinner
Right.
quarter,
Yeah.
right? So if revenues are, impacted enough, we may be in a situation where we have to do a reserve fund,
Right.
transfer,
Well,
town meeting. to
I just said we'll have
balance.
to look at our capital plan because it's definitely going to affect our capital plan.
Yeah.
But we don't have a choice, so. All right. Anything else?
Unless we get a lot of fines, but
I've got a question, but I don't know, to ask Dan, but I don't know when to
All right.
ask
So,
later.
all right. Water, wastewater department, future staffing, equipment, and miscellaneous needs. How far did you get with that, Dan?
I have another memo. Take that and pass it down. So this, was that?
no, I was just gonna say, I remember talking about figuring out the equipment needs for our wastewater department about 10 years ago, Sharon. Here we are.
Yeah, I know, so this discussion really was born from the, potential regulation change for the CWMP and wastewater-related items, but I figured it would be appropriate to be a little more comprehensive and bring water needs into the discussion as well, because we're now water wastewater department. So I guess I could just start at the top and run through what I've put together. This is not a final, this is kind of, I guess,
Wish list.
something to start the
Wish list.
discussion. I was planning to do this 2 weeks ago on Tuesday when I tested positive for COVID and then was out for 2 weeks. So I'm trying to get something together for discussion, but certainly open to suggestions and subject to change. So with respect to staffing needs, it would certainly be helpful for me to have somebody in an assistant sewer superintendent role, to help in overseeing the day-to-day operations, develop and implement collection system maintenance plan, sewer jetting, wet well cleaning, pump station maintenance, things of that nature. Also provide support in, reviewing the technical drawings for projects that we're putting out, weighing in on design, things of that nature. And also a big one is supporting the public outreach and resident support leading up to and during construction for people that need help citing a sewer service location or, any the variety of things that have come up over the last 5 years as we've been kind of navigating through this. That, I'm just seeing on my end, there's going to be a higher emphasis on implementing the CWMP in the shorter time frame. So to have someone be able to pick up some of those other tasks would be helpful. Moving on is, wastewater continues to grow. At some point, we should consider either a seasonal or part-time admin support. And I guess just building on that, also consideration for a stipend for our existing admin staff. There's been a considerable increase in workload in tasks that are all related to wastewater. Even just understanding the whole industry components, parts, pieces, how it, all that has taken place over the past couple of years. And I think in light of, contracts are negotiated, I look at this as potentially a similar option to a couple of years ago, someone up in the town administrator's office was provided a stipend for taking on some personnel, as like personnel director for the admin office. So it's been something that has kind of been done before, but it may be an option to at least recognize the additional work that's going on.
The stipend for the admin in the office, which I absolutely support, but that would have to go through the contract negotiations, I would assume. So that's something we can do.
It would certainly have to be negotiated. I think there could be I'm looking to the union staff, maybe like a side letter or, something to that effect that could happen outside of the traditional 3-year schedule.
Right. Noreen?
I'm just curious, what was the thinking about considering a stipend as opposed to, a different pay rate, a higher pay rate?
They just are so far along with the negotiations, I didn't know if we would be able to kind of reintroduce this so late into the discussion.
Right, yeah, no, I see what you mean, and that would be fine because in some other negotiation, it could be incorporated and switched over, yeah, that's probably,
this could be the stepping stone to the,
right.
Final change at the next round.
Well, for me, I firmly believe we need to add that staff. I mean, the water department's been maxed out for a long time.
That's right.
But, so we definitely need it.
Yep.
As we get more connections,
Yep.
it's going to change here dramatically.
How many people do we have up and running in the sewer department?
For,
Sewer.
other than me?
That's it?
No, how many people do you have hooked up?
Oh, hooked up.
30 maybe, and
30?
maybe even a few more will be soon, maybe there's probably like 15 more in the queue ready to get connected, so they're starting to roll in.
But there must be, you don't do all literally all the tasks that are associated. There must be billing and there must be clerk, right? So a percentage, you guys are already doing it,
That's a big
right?
percent. They're already doing
And it's
a
not-
lot of
it's
the whole intake, processing, approval, issuing, that's already happening.
And was that addressed in the contract this round?
No.
So yeah, it's a smart move.
Yeah, we've had a couple of years of all this stuff, and they've been right in it, so,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking all the time, when should this happen, and it definitely should happen.
Yesterday?
Yeah, definitely, yeah,
But
so vote yes.
can we do that, or does this go to the Board of Selectmen?
I'll have to
Is it like a
probably talk to
recommendation?
Joe and see what the appropriate strategy would be.
Yeah, definitely.
Noreen?
So what would be, as we discussed this, like, the timing idea? I mean, we talked at last meeting, an assistant wastewater superintendent would be needed right away, and of course, it takes months to, go
Yeah,
through the
we gotta
process.
get it funded too.
Well, that,
Right.
So we need to put everything in place, get it funded, and then we can implement it.
Right. So the timing question was, what were you thinking when you did design this about the seasonal or part-time admin support? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so that is a discussion that we're
Right.
intending to have.
Okay.
It's just been so busy, we've been
Yeah.
trying to sit down this week
Yeah.
to have an internal
Yeah.
conversation, but I think in early conversations, not yet,
Yeah.
but
Right.
as it
Yeah.
starts to pick up, and that's whether it's,
Yeah.
you know, maybe we start with funding a seasonal next year, and that bridges
I
us
see.
through the summer with a full-time to follow, or something, or part-time to follow, or something to that effect. When I had mentioned this briefly to Joe in passing, this, you know, at least the assistant sewer superintendent would have to be, you know, add as a new position, so it would be added at town meeting. I was gonna, you know, if the board is in agreement with the concept, to ask Joe, you know, if this is something that we could potentially get on fall
Right,
to get the position added,
yeah,
so we could get.
that would be wonderful.
And we are doing a meeting this fall, right?
Yeah. So, just, since you talked to Joe, just to follow the steps, so let's say that we said, you know, this is a great start. So then, so I guess it would be done separately, like the assistant wastewater superintendent would go through fall town meeting if we're lucky enough to get it through that quick. And then if that was approved, then it would go out for an RF, or for,
Advertisement.
yeah, an advertisement, and then proceed. So if we're lucky and everything went as it should be, you might actually have somebody like the 1st of January, or maybe sooner.
Be great.
Yeah. As far as the other things go, they would go a little different route, the stipend thing, so.
Well, that's what I need to talk to Joe about,
Okay.
you know, today, is,
Yeah.
you know, if this is something that the board's on board with, you know, how do we get it done?
Well, I'm on board 100%.
Yeah.
And I would, you know, propose that that stipend be paid from the wastewater enterprise.
Yeah.
'Cause it's really to reflect that additional.
Absolutely.
Question, wasn't that part of why the stipend was set up? To include staffing?
Stipend line item?
I mean, the, not stipend, the,
Enterprise?
enterprise fund, sorry.
Yeah, and there is like a portion of my I think half my salary, and there's a small percentage of admin and meter reading staff, because we need to read meters,
Right.
you know, so there is a small percent coming out now for some of the salaries and wages, but this, yeah, for sure, there's already a line, salary and wages in there, so.
I mean, everybody, I guess is my question, it was anticipated that there would be a staff separate from the water department.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Gonna make sure I didn't miss something
Well,
big.
I think as far as the office staff, we assume would be the office staff we have.
Yeah.
Like people in the
Right.
field, we don't want that cross contamination. We want water separate and wastewater, which we have, was it Weston and
Weston
Sampson
and
that
Sampson.
run that anyway at this
Yeah.
point, so it's.
How long is that contract for?
So, the contract is really the contract between Chatham and Weston and Sampson that we're kind of piggybacking onto. I think they just renewed for 3 years, so I think there might be 2 more years left in it. But I gotta look at how bound we are, just read through that, because if we have an assistant sewer superintendent come on, we may be able to trim back and save
Right.
and pay some of the salary out of savings from that agreement. So it might not be as big of an impact.
All right.
Do you need us to
That,
say anything
Well-
positive, or?
Give you some muscle.
well, I guess, yeah, but, because those are really the ones that I need to at least go back to the TA on. If there's consensus, I can run with that, or if
So-
there's a formal vote, I
You
can.
want me to make a motion that,
Like that. I don't see it.
that we proceed in adjusting our staffing needs, particularly in relation to wastewater, as per our discussion today and the chart and memo presented by Dan.
I'll second.
Motion, we have a second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, if I can jump back in. Some equipment needs.
Oh, that's right.
They had that 6-inch tow behind dewatering pump were borrowed from Brewster 2 or 3 times. I think there's a rule I heard once, if you have to borrow it more than once, you should probably buy one.
Who told you that, Dan?
I don't
Who
know.
told you that?
But-
No, I don't think it was me. Yeah, it's definitely Steve.
So, I mean, and that has saved us at least 2 or 3 times, so I think that's a worthwhile investment. Also, a new vacuum trailer, we currently have one. We had it touched up last year by the tech school, the auto body. They had to Bondo and fill a lot of corrosion and holes and whatnot, so I don't anticipate that vacuum tank's gonna last much longer.
How often has that been
How about a
used?
vacuum truck? You're gonna need
Vacuum
it for
trucks,
sewer.
well, that's probably $1 million. This is probably a few thousand.
Yeah, I know, but you can use it for everything.
Yeah. Well, I can add it to the list if you want.
All right, John, let's,
No, I'm not saying, I just know from experience that, it can be used for the sewer, it can be used for the water.
are we renting one, or we?
No, we have, that's the trailer that's in Building B. We
No, I
use
know,
the
but
vacuum gate valves.
Part of the contract with Chatham is that we have their equipment for the sewer part of it.
No, not really.
Or they charge us
There
if they use
was,
it.
we had started discussions that route, and, how to say this, the discussions weren't very productive.
With Chatham,
Yeah.
about using that equipment?
It was more response, trying to get,
I understand,
yeah.
but I thought it was part of the contract that we have with them, that we're paying X amount of dollars for possible use, or if needed, we pay X amount of dollars if needed.
We were gonna have to pay for it, right, regardless.
Right.
And it was going to be more difficult to establish payment terms and mechanisms with the town of Chatham than it would be to simply use Robert Hours after-hour services.
And are you guys talking about if there's a clog in
Yeah, if we need to
Harwich?
clean a wet well or something like that.
No, are you talking about the homes that are sewered, or are you talking about something else?
Yeah, the sewer
The
homes.
sewered homes, if there's an, oh, I see, I was under the assumption that any and all stuff was being done by Chatham. Is that,
So it would be Weston and Sampson's operators, responding if there was a clog or something to that effect. But instead of, calling someone in from Chatham, we would be calling, RBO for our support.
oh, because each time something needs to get fixed,
Weston
we'll get
Sampson
a
usually
bill?
calls Robert Hour.
It's not just, they're not just taking care of the system,
Who's that?
Weston and Sampson?
Weston and Sampson's operating, and maintaining the collection system. And then, when we had started discussions with Chatham about the operations agreement, we had discussed using their their vacuum truck and their jetter and things of that nature. And then it got,
For stuff outside of the sewering?
no, for within our...
Oh, so they're not answering our emergency,
No.
oh, that's not part of
Initially,
the
well, no,
agreement?
well, Chatham,
They're
we gotta
just
separate
taking
Chatham and
this
Weston and Sampson. Because Chatham owns, like Chatham, for example, owns the big vacuum truck. The town of Chatham only wants the people who work for the town of Chatham to utilize the vacuum truck. So when we were going through the negotiating the agreement, Chatham was somewhat non-responsive, and we got to a point where we had to issue the order to connect to get people online, and we were now waiting on this operations agreement. And to try to continue that discussion and negotiate terms that would have allowed for us to also use Chatham's operators, also use the town of Chatham's equipment for use in Harwich, it was just much simpler to just, instead of, we need to get the order to connect out. So instead of holding up the agreement, we elected not to utilize Chatham, and instead use RBO's equipment, who would be called by our Weston and Sampson operators in the event of an emergency. That
So,
makes sense.
if it's a
No, it
person-
makes sense, it's just like, I had no, wow.
if a submersible pump goes down, what's the process? Who do we
Call
call?
it 24-hour.
Call who?
Ed Miles. He's the on-call 24-hour
Robert Howard.
wastewater vacuum truck guy.
Robert
And-
Howard.
Yes.
So we're not calling Weston Sampson.
Weston and
Well,
Sampson
Sampson-
gets the call.
Gets the call.
They're gonna receive the pump failed alarm through the SCADA
Yeah.
system. They're gonna log in, they respond and, see a wet well backing up. They would call the 24-hour emergency line.
And what's the cost on that?
I have a rate sheet, it's very reasonable, I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but,
And
he
is-
came down, we gave him a tour of all the facilities. Like he said, that Weston and Sampson already uses them for most of the stuff.
and-
So any equipment that we need, that
Yeah.
Chatham has, we're not
We
contracted.
didn't establish rates.
Okay. Okay.
Because it was something they would need to provide us, and it wasn't
Right. Okay.
working out with that.
Judith?
So long-term though, like 4 or 5 years from now, let's say, when X amount of homes are, is the idea that the wastewater department would be doing those emergency calls, or well,
Long-term-
maybe that just depends on economics,
So long-term,
right?
I mean, at this point, I think it would make sense long-term, as we start to build a customer base, at some point, there's gonna be where it economically makes sense for us to take this in-house.
Okay.
Right now, with 30 customers, it's
Sure.
not feasible to buy trucks and equipment and all that sort of stuff. But over the next, 5, 10 years, I don't see how it's cheaper for us to pay someone's direct labor, profit, overhead, margins and everything else. I don't see how it would be cheaper for us to pay someone than do it ourselves.
And then what part, does the customer, are they responsible for any of if there's a clogging fee, for example, or if they...
So if someone, your house clogs up,
Somebody puts down a toilet, a diaper down a toilet.
So if you're at your house, you experience a backup, you
Yeah.
call the emergency line, someone responds. What the first thing they'll do is pop the clean out at the street and determine if the
Of course.
clog is before or after.
After.
If it's on your property, you'd have to call Roto-Rooter and, someone to come in and snake it out. If it's on ours, it's on us to take care of it.
That makes sense.
So, these items on this list under equipment needs, Dan, doesn't it seem as though you should be putting them in this month for the capital plan for year, whatever it is, 2027, whatever the next
Right.
year is? But is that your intention, to get the discussion going, or to put-
Really, so these are kind of, I guess, things that I feel kind of will slip through the cracks a little bit. They're not replacing a water tank. It's not, they're kind of things that I guess, I would argue could get overlooked on like our capital plan. So I wanted to bring them up for discussion to,
Do any of them cost over 50,000? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously
There's
the
a
trucks
couple of them
does.
in there.
yeah.
But I mean, I guess we're in a changing time in the town. And you remember what you went through with the 300,000 to spend, our own money, to get in line for infrastructure money. I'd feel better if you picked out the over 50,000s and put them right on the capital plan right now. I mean, that's just how I'm thinking.
Yeah, and this is kind of where I wanted to get to
Yeah.
is, here are some ideas, here are some things that I think would help us out a lot in the
Right.
department.
I
Some
mean,
things-
5 years from now, we can always say, oh gee, we still only have 50 people connected, we don't want to buy this now, but
Mhm.
if you don't have it on there, I mean, who knows the way things are going.
And we do have a couple of these on
Yeah,
the
which
plan,
ones?
like the loader, right? For example, we have a backhoe replacement on the plan. In talking with the guys, they would prefer a loader in lieu of a backhoe. We don't use the backhoe arm, we don't use the rear part of it. So,
It's a brand-new capital outlay committee, and I just would like to make sure, I know you're always so good with deadlines and forms, but I'd just like to make sure these are on paper and in there.
yeah.
Well, I think this whole idea is to present it to us, to see what we think needs to be put up there
Yep.
in support of it, and then take it from there.
Like the insertion valve machine, for example, I think we've talked about that previously. That allows us to cut a gate valve into a live water main.
Is that on the plan now?
No, but that, I believe, we could include in the 28 water main replacement project.
Oh, okay.
And fund through that, because it's really, you
Yeah,
know,
that's
where we
fine.
need that
Yeah.
at the first go here.
Okay, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, the skids, another component too, right? So the skid steer I have on here. We're currently in possession of a skid steer that we traded. We had a large diesel John Deere lawnmower that we acquired from the tech school when they rebuilt it. So we have like a temporary trade. DPW has the mower, we have the skid steer. I know Steve's working with Kyle at Highway to try to formalize that trade. One, is the board okay with us taking on this additional asset? Because it is another machine. It's one that they use quite often at this point now. But at some point, if that transfer does take place, I know Steve was looking to get some additional attachments, like a sweeper attachment for it, so we can clean up the road. And then at some point, when that hits the end of life, you know, the board's going to be asked to replace it. So, you know, to be transparent about all of it and say, hey, this is kind of what we're thinking. Is there any opposition? Same with the dump truck. The Peterbilt we have, you know, the guys are always complaining if we're out on a water main break, they're running loads back and forth because the dump body's so small. They would like when that needs to be replaced to get a 10-wheeler with a bigger body on it. Tow behind generator, I think, is important for both water and wastewater operations.
Yeah.
And then to wrap it up with the miscellaneous items, I would like to, you know, as we continue to grow and continue to see aging infrastructure, to increase our pipes, valves, and fittings line item in our operating budget so we can start to build that up and take more projects on internally. And also restore our water meter line item, because we had cut that the last couple of years due to COVID and budget constraints.
Yep.
I think it's important to start to restore that and address the aging meters again.
I agree with the miscellaneous needs, but right now, not knowing what kind of pumping we're gonna be doing, it's just, I understand it and we need it, but we need to also look at where we're gonna be, you know, at the end of the fiscal year with.
Oh, yeah. And this is really for next year, because we just got budget instructions that'll be in next meeting's packet, but they're looking to start the budget, I think by the end of August, they want to preliminary submit it. So this would be for FY24, you know, if we want to look to increase in one of those line items.
Do we have any capital plans set up for sewer yet?
Not other than the CW. I mean,
okay. Because, I mean, this is a good start. I mean, this is stuff that we should put on there.
Yeah.
Get it on paper and get a plan together.
And so also, with your preliminary budget going in early, you could include that assistant sewer superintendent on that tentatively.
Right.
It's just a draft budget
yeah.
for next year.
Yeah, for me, just set it up, include it in the budgets, and either gets approved or doesn't.
Yeah, and stipends, you could put them right in for next year.
And then I would do the capital, add the stuff, the equipment at highest priority to the capital plan. We'll see how the funding goes.
Anything else for the? All right.
Thank you for
Yeah.
preparing all this.
Keep this
It
on
was
the
down to
table.
the last minute.
Well, but kept our conversation in place.
All right. All right, so now we're moving on to 80 Queen Anne Road payment plan request. So, if memory serves me, 80 Queen Anne Road, we talked about at our last meeting. Am I correct?
Oh.
Wasn't that the one we were talking about, the water shelf for payment plan?
I think we did instructions to go back and get in touch with them, and I think that's probably why this letter came. Because it,
Can we get Rosie?
They're requesting a payment plan only. You know that, no abatement or anything.
Bless you.
Why, At our last meeting, I know we discussed, I thought it was 80 Queen Anne Road.
I think that was for an abatement, though.
No, it was discussion about shutting the water off or paying the bill. And I talked about setting a payment plan, which was not supported.
I thought it was Old Chatham.
Yeah, it
Old Chatham
was,
Road?
yeah.
So what's it, so then what's
Yeah.
80 Queen Anne Road?
It does sound familiar, but
Yeah.
they all start to... Did we do something with 80 Queen Anne Road?
I don't remember that. Yes, yes. Did we do
I
it?
saw somebody tried to call multiple times,
Oh.
everyone make sure it wasn't a leak.
So 80 Queen Anne Road,
Yes.
is this a new request for payment plan? Who we talked about last meeting about shutting the water off and,
Different.
okay, different one,
Different.
okay.
Did we ever talk about 80 Queen Anne Road? No.
Okay, so what would you like to add to this?
Okay.
What is there to add?
Well, what would you like to
It
add?
has come to light now that there is someone who's elderly in the household. So we adjust our sales as far as the shut-off conditions. But due to the nature of the account and the balance and the length of it, we do not offer a payment plan for our road regs. Any exception to that, that's what
Okay.
we have before you now.
Because it looks like there was $1,000 donated to pay towards their bill.
Correct, through one of the outreach
Okay.
plans we have here in Harwich.
So they still have a $1,400 payment outstanding, on top of, I'm assuming, accruing.
As of
Approved
today, the
debt.
balance is 1789.84.
And is there a request for an abatement
No.
somewhere?
There's a
So-
request for a payment plan.
That accumulated, so that 17 plus the 1,000 that was just paid, accumulated, what, over 8 months
Since 2019.
since 2019? But you just found out there was a 65-year-old in there.
Well,
100
based on what
year.
they wrote,
There's 69.
there's an elderly person in the household.
Right,
Very
but
elderly.
so
Three
my-
elderly people in the household.
So my question is, very nicely, how did they go for that many years to accumulate a $3,000 bill if we didn't know? Why weren't they shut off years ago?
So we have lien, and based
Okay.
on, yes, and based on when the
Yeah.
assistance payments come in versus when we lien,
Yeah,
because balances, typically by the
Yeah.
time we
Okay.
lien, are about a year and a half old.
yeah,
But because of the payments versus the timing,
yeah,
we lien multiple.
yeah. No, the lien answered.
And we also withheld too from shutting people off during the pandemic
Yeah,
for a
that's
while.
right,
So
yeah.
there's-
So, I mean, we can't shut them off anyway, so we need to figure out something for a
Right,
payment
no, I
plan.
just,
No, I'm just saying to whoever's watching or whatever, we can't shut them off.
right.
So, what's an affordable payment plan for this house? I mean, how long,
We have had payment plans with them in the past.
They haven't kept it.
And of that, so right now the bill is 1,700, but we probably have a bunch of money over here in the lien column, no?
I'm not sure how much is still on that. That will be the tax side if anything has been paid.
Right, but I mean, there's gotta be some, I mean, their total obligation to us is not just 1,700.
So for instance, the amount liened this past fall was $884.
Right, okay, so it's really like 17 plus 80. No. All right,
And the
just
year
checking.
before that, $1154.
Okay, and
so on.
probably that's still on there too, right? So 5 grand.
So can I ask a question?
Yes.
So in Massachusetts, as far as town taxes are concerned, my understanding is if you're over 65 and you have financial hardship, you can ask to not pay your taxes and have them put towards the lien. I would assume that that's true of water as well, no?
I've
Because
never
it's-
heard that.
Either way.
I've never heard that.
You've never heard, what, about
That you
water
could-
or about
That you
the...
could do that.
With
any-
taxes?
Like, you can do it with the taxes.
Yes,
But I never
but
heard.
you never heard
of
with the water.
Never.
so what are our options of getting paid or?
You can lien the property, that's all.
At this point, they would like a payment plan, so with whatever you decide, we can certainly put together a plan for them. And I can work with them to see what would be, affordable for their budget. But if you want to set a time period or a quantity of how many payment each month, so that it can sort of be realistic.
Well, it doesn't seem that they can afford to pay what their balance is right now. This is going back to 2019. So, right.
I don't know.
So, I mean, we can't shut the water off. We're not getting paid. So, I mean, what's an affordable amount of money, you know, in a time frame? You know what I mean?
You're gonna lean them in the fall anyway, right?
Most likely.
Yeah, so it's almost like a paper exercise. I mean, whatever amount was paid in September or October, whatever's left over after that and is over a year old is gonna be leaned anyway, so. I
So
mean,
maybe
I
just
think.
find out what they can afford monthly.
Right,
and
I mean, I
do it
think
that
whatever you
way.
work out is fine because it's
Sure.
found money.
Yeah,
I
I,
believe,
you know, if we could do this, I would say, talk to them and say to them, what will you pay monthly on this guarantee you pay? And then I'll get that approved for you with the commissioners.
they did mention $100.
Okay,
That sounds like a deal.
all right.
Yeah.
oh, that's,
So if we make a motion to not exceed $100, or you want a $100 payment a month?
Just do it that way. Set it,
$100.
You know, we'll set the payments $100 a month and approve that now and go for it.
and was that realistic, or were they desperate? I mean, were they worried about their water being shut off, and so they said that number? Because, sorry folks, I'm just gonna,
My point was making a comment about not to exceed $100, kind of giving you the liberty to say, okay, the commissioner said, you know, we can go on a payment plan, what can you realistically afford? Because like
yeah.
she was saying, you're saying $100 and you can only pay $50, I mean, we're right back to where we were before. So does that help you if we give $100 maximum, like, and they say, okay, realistically I can do $50 or $60? I mean, I'm just trying to be fair here and realistic.
The reason I would not include the word exceed is that I wouldn't want to turn them away if they want more.
Right.
So,
Right.
we can start out, I can still talk with them and see if $100 is realistic, and if it isn't, adjust it down, so it could be up to
And just keep us
$100
posted on
payments a
that.
month.
Right, and just keep us posted on it,
Exactly.
and that's fine.
As long as there's some action.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. But,
I mean,
you know.
but just to
because-
get bigger and bigger.
It sounds like they're trying to figure out what if they're gonna eat or pay their water bill
And
at
they
this
request
point.
Yeah,
one too,
that's-
so.
I mean, let's not put them in that position.
Exactly.
So that's helpful
The payments up to $100 a month.
between us, right,
Yeah.
up to $100 and see how
And I
that
can
goes.
keep you up to date, and I'll also keep you up to date with the other ones.
Okay. So just to make a motion to have a $100 monthly payment on the account until we're, further updated with Wellesley in the next, 6 months.
So moved.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Water meters contract recommendations.
In the packet is a memo from Sandy containing all of the information for the FY23 water meter bid. We only received one bid from Ty Sales, who we've been using as our sole source vendor. They're the local rep for the Neptune meters, so it's kind of what we hope, to be honest. All the publishing dates are in a draft bid award letter, also included in the packet, and the contract for the board's consideration.
Noreen,
I'm just curious in general about how much these prices have gone up from the previous, the whole list. Yeah, it's in here.
No, the
the
old
previous?
list, yeah.
Percentage on the increase, but they did increase.
Yeah, That's pretty good, probably.
It doesn't look too,
It wasn't a huge increase, but
Yeah.
it was.
Well, the most common one is the, which one? The
5/8. 5/8.
So it's still under 300 anyway. Okay, thanks.
All right, motion for the tie sales contract.
Mr. Chairman, I move we accept the contract as presented.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
FY '22 fourth quarter water, wastewater budget reports. Is that it?
you're gonna table this one
Okay.
until the next meeting?
All right. Superintendent's report?
Yeah, a few items, not a ton, because I've been out. Just wanted to bring the board up to speed on all the ongoing infrastructure projects. Been working with GHD on the project evaluation forms for the Phase 3 sewer service area, the Route 28 sewer service, or sewer main, and the Route 28 water main projects. Those are due to be submitted to the State Revolving Loan Fund on August 12th, so that's coming right up. And then the intended use plan that those inform will be coming out, I believe it's in February, so we should know where we're ranked some point this winter.
Could I ask you to say them again, the ones going to SRF? They were the,
Phase 3,
yeah?
the Route 28 sewer and Route 28 water.
So the Route 28 sewer is the one over by West?
Yeah,
Harwich.
Herring River Bridge to Dennistown line, and then the water is from the Dennistown line to Lower County Road.
Right, okay, so they're both over that way. And the Route 3, is that, excuse me, Phase 3, that's for the construction portion?
Yes.
No. Oh, it is for the
Yeah.
construction portion. So, you're submitting those documents, and I know it's crazy too early, but so there's no dollar value, this is just your project
Yeah,
summation?
well, we do have to put an estimate in. So
Yeah.
I had a meeting to go over preliminary cost estimates. What's today? I think it might be Monday or Tuesday. And right now, so you may recall that 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 17 that outline the different sewer service areas we're looking at for Phase
Right.
3, the different color-coded one.
Yep.
So that was based off the original CWMP area for the Phase 3 and Phase 8 within the Pleasant Bay and Round Cove watersheds. So that's where we're, focusing all the surveying. So now that we're at a point where we're starting to pull all that data together, in the preliminary numbers, that's a bigger area than we need to sewer to meet our removal requirements.
Yeah.
So now we have to scale it back.
Yeah.
So the total nitrogen between Pleasant Bay and Round Cove, I believe, was about 2,800 kilograms that we need to remove.
Mhm.
The current plan, as designed, if I'm not mistaken, was removing around 4,650. So we're,
Yep.
pretty, much above where we need to be. That said, the 2,800 doesn't include any developable land, that's just the old
Yep,
targeted watershed management plan number. So we need to scale back from the current geographical area to get it to where the nitrogen removal
Mhm.
quantities are closer to where we need to be. I don't want to say the number,
I know, that's what I'm waiting for. Ta-da!
because it's a lot higher, but again, keep
So
in
you're
mind.
giving
that
us the 4,600 number or the
Yeah,
2,800?
we don't have the 2,800
Okay,
yet.
all right.
This was just, we finally pulled all the lengths,
Okay,
sizes,
okay.
survey data. So for the 4,650, it was like 52 million.
52 million.
Yeah,
And,
but that's
okay,
just one of
all
my
right,
preface for
all
those
right.
watching.
And I hear those DEP rumors that in most watersheds, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, but they'll actually be asking us to remediate more than the original percentages. Is that true or not true of the northern portion of East Harwich?
DEP
Yeah,
would,
I heard
Yeah, no, well, just, I just want to
understand,
clarify, yeah, so, I just want to make sure I'm understanding your question.
Right.
So,
I thought that in the other, as we go for watershed permits and the others, I have heard Larry and others say that we may be asked to have higher percentages remediated than were originally on the famous CDM
Yeah.
chart.
I don't know,
I don't
I
know.
haven't heard
Okay.
anything to that effect.
No, I haven't either.
All right. From what I read, I hadn't, but I heard
We're
Larry say
very
that.
close to where we should be,
Right,
even under the new rules of East House.
okay.
By the time we get through with the sewer, completed, both phases, we should be okay. Actually, we stand the best right now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we gotta get hooked up.
Yeah, okay. No, I'll let that go. In the bit that I had read, I did not read it that way either, but I heard Larry say
Maybe-
that the other night.
Unless we're thinking about something different, because that is somewhat,
Oh, I know.
Similar to-
The 75% figure came in.
well, there's 75, we need to remove 75% of the total
Oh, that's right.
removal
By a certain
amount
time.
within 20 years.
Yeah.
So it's not a full condensation from 40 years
Right.
to 20 years.
Yeah.
It's really almost like 2/3, because
Yeah.
they're given only 75%. The one
Yeah.
kind of thing that's up in the air is the attenuation rates still
Right.
for Upper and Lower Muddy Creek.
Right.
I think we're plenty well
Yeah.
all set in Upper Muddy Creek. Lower Muddy Creek we're on the cusp, so depending on
All right.
how those change,
You
that
know,
may warrant more.
But I'll still say, I can't call it negotiate with DEP as we listen to what they want us to do.
Right.
But, I mean, I really think, one thing I will push for is they were foolhardy in so many ways, but also not to have a transition period. I mean, if we had buckets of money and wanted to do this and tons of staff, we would still need a 3 to 5 year period to change everything, And so to say the gun goes off next year
Yeah.
is really, really nasty.
Well, the thing of it is, that was one of my complaints.
Mm-hmm,
I mean, we've come up with millions already,
right,
and for DEP to expect us to come up with more
that's
millions
right,
overnight,
yeah.
and go shit in the hat,
Right.
take us to court,
Well,
you know?
one of the things that I'm gonna ask through another board is that,
I'm glad we all get it.
It's not repeated.
We all heard it.
well, what it is,
It's not repeated.
Shouldn't have come out.
no, but, one of the numbers, and I'm sure it'll probably involve you and Russ, but I think very soon we need a number that would tell the DEP and us that okay, well, that's great, with these changes, it means that this customer is gonna have to pay about $10,000 a year, or whatever it is, Let's get the dollar value out there, because we're talking in things just so, we can really know, or maybe $15,000 a year for the next 20 years. I mean, it's gonna be something, so.
I just wonder what the impetus was, that all of a sudden, after how many years of this, DEP made a decision, number one, overnight.
I think it's gotta be tied to the settlement with CLF. I mean, that's what, when Russ and I have talked about it, he said the way that they're going about it and kind of the key words they're saying are very indicative of a plan that was laid out in some sort of settlement.
That's 4 years ago.
Dan, do you have anything else in your report? Because I know you have another meeting to get to.
Yeah, I did too.
Anything for the commissioner's report? 'Cause I know you guys gotta get out of here. Next meeting?
I just have one quick question
Yep.
for Dan. You don't have to answer it now. I was just curious if, I don't think any of our critical infrastructure is, so when they talked about those poles that came down in Chatham, the ones that, were just
Yeah, strapped together.
strapped together, are any of our systems at risk? I think all
I think
our
the big-
critical stuff's got backup anyway, right?
Yeah, but I don't think, we don't have any poles, at least near our stuff, I don't think. The only one that we
I'm
have
looking
was
at it this
Church
one, but
Street,
that's just, That's a normal thing, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
All right, we're looking for dates. 2 weeks out will be the week of the 8th through the 12th.
Is there anything you need to get signed or need us for, Dan, or is
So,
it rather not have us?
I think I am on vacation the week after that.
Week of the 15th through the 19th?
Yeah, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken. And I believe the draft budgets are due at the end of the month.
Right, 31st.
So,
And I'm probably away the 10th, 11th, 12th,
All right.
but I could call in.
Well, I mean, if there's nothing we have to do, I mean, you need the time to do the budgets,
we
so,
could go,
I'm gone the first 2 weeks. Sorry, the last week of August to the first full week of September.
so that 22nd through the 26th would work for everyone?
22nd to the 26th would work for me. Anytime then,
Sounds good.
sounds good.
except for Tuesday.
Thursday, the 25th.
Thursday, the 25th. It's fine with me.
Sounds good. What time?
Can we do 11:30? Because evidently I can't make 11
Yeah.
o'clock.
Do you want to do noon?
No, 11:30, I should be able to make 11:30.
Are you presenting anything on the next BOS meeting or to do with the DEP stuff or the?
Not DEP stuff that I'm aware of. I got an email asking to be there about, I think, town meeting stuff, maybe,
Okay,
on the 8th.
right. Just good. Okay,
We're still waiting. DEP's supposed to be scheduling another meeting to come back and talk to us again,
Yeah.
so we're really hoping to have that conversation
Right.
and
First.
get some more pieces to the puzzle before we come back,
Yeah.
but I don't know
Gotcha.
how much longer we
What'd
can
you say,
stay with that.
11:30?
Can we get in, I
Carol?
mean, I'd like to go to that
11:30?
meeting, but
11:30?
if more people are interested, do we need to announce, make a
Yeah, I don't know what
open
forum
meeting
they're
thing?
trying to come back in, because I know the selectmen wanted them to come back and speak well. I know they wanted to have a more technical discussion with
Yeah.
Harwich and the Alliance. The Alliance, I know, is also still working to schedule a date for DEP to come and meet with the Alliance, too. That may be a good one to be on, because it's a kind of a,
But do we do a joint meeting? I mean, or am I the only one that's interested in going?
No, I'll be there.
So I'm just thinking of open
I'm-
meeting law,
I'm-
and you're
I'm-
on the Alliance,
I'm on.
you're the Alliance. So
What's the meeting
would
about?
we have to,
yeah, we could,
Yeah.
we could post it when we get some dates.
okay,
I haven't seen any requests yet, so.
All right. All set? Is everyone all set?
Motion to adjourn?
Is there a second? Okay. Hold on a second, let's just sign these.
did
Oh,
you,
yeah, sorry.
was she gonna say anything or not? She was just attending?
Yeah, she's Noreen's friend.
Oh, was she just attending?
Yeah.
Not here from the health department?
Not here. No, this is
Okay.
the health department, yeah.
Tomorrow,
I've
She
been
does,
getting
like,
tons of
I have
phone
gardens
calls.
and
pretty much
the conservation.
all day, but on
Conservation.
Friday.
Thank you.
She was here in official capacity.
No, I asked, and she said no, she was.
I've been getting tons of phone calls because of the DEP
I can do
thing, but
Friday
people
morning.
think it's us. So that's,
What time
she
you?
is one of my many phone calls. My phone is ringing.
I was 9?
All right, that'll work.
That-
It's not my favorite time, but
Well,
it'll work.
hey, you want to?
Hey, you can all day.
What, does she make an appointment with you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jeez,
Yeah.
Making a date.
yeah.
jeez.
Yeah.
I may have to come with her.
You can come along
All right, when is it?
Friday at 10.
All right, we'll see.
We'll see.
All right.
People are hearing the DEP and they think it's us, and they're ringing my phone.
I gotta just call up to Joe. I was supposed to call him at 1. If I can excuse myself.
We're done, right?
Yeah.
We're still recording and do you have any?
Yeah, I don't think they've adjourned
I
yet.
haven't adjourned yet,
adjourned
you're signing, I'm signing, yeah, but you
Okay.
can take off.
Sorry.
Today, the
27th.
what's this? What's that?
Time your sales go on, your big contract.
Okay, give me. So we, where are we signing on?
Fill out this part, actually, just signatures.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. I think it's just that one right there.
Okay.
Right here, John.
Oh, that's right.
So, it's right here. Thank you. Thank you. We have a motion to adjourn, we have a second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Oh, I got one more.
Oh.
Oh.